are going to be working on our Elsie Avenue project. This is the pillow, and it's by Sassafras Lane. And so it's a pillow slip, so you can put your pillow inside of it and change it out whenever you want to do that. So it's a really cute little pattern, and you're going to learn a little bit about applique and making a basic pillow form. So let's get started. Okay, so in the Elsie Avenue kit, we're going to be making the pillow. And so the first thing that we need to do is we need to trace off all of our applique pieces. So you'll get a piece of Fusibond Light. You're going to get an assortment of fabrics to make the little quills from. And so we're going to pull these over to the side, open this up. We have our pattern. And so what you do is you lay the Fusibond down over your pattern, and you are simply tracing. So the quills are, there's a lot of tracing. It takes probably about 100, 110 quills for this pattern. You can do as few or as many as you want. So you just do you simply do your tracing on the paper side of the Fusibond Light. And then once you have everything traced, you trace the heart, you trace the arms, and of course you're tracing everything not touching each other. So like you trace the heart, and then you go back and you trace the hands, and you're cutting these all out of different pieces of fabric. And so in your kit you've got fabric for the heart, it's pink, it's really cute, and then you have a beige for the arms, and you have, and for the nose, and then you have a pink, a different pink or peachy pink for the cheeks. And then the eyes, we're going to sew that on with the sewing machine. So you're going to trace everything out, and then we're going to fuse, we'll cut this out, and then we'll fuse these to the back of our fabric. So I'm going to cut out my quills like so. And then you pick out the fabric you want to use, and you simply lay this on the back of the fabric and you press it down with your iron. So I'm going to do that and cut those out. Okay. Once you've cut everything out, then you simply turn it over and you peel the paper off of the fabric. And when you, so now you can see the shiny area, that's our fusible. So I'm going to then lay out our pattern right here. And in our kit, we gave you a piece of parchment paper. And parchment paper is really great for this kind of a project because you can lay this over your pattern, and you can tape it down if you need to. But what it does is it lets you see the pattern underneath. You can lay everything out, and then you can iron on this. And when it cools off, you can peel it right off of the paper, and then you can take it over to your fabric. So you're not having to shuffle all the different applique pieces around trying to get it over to the ironing board. Okay, so I've got our little hedgehog here started. So I'm going to lay this on the fusible here, and so I've done one side over here. Next, I'm going to do this side here. So you just simply take all your little pieces. Let me see if I can find all of mine. And you start filling in, and you need to put about I don't know, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch underneath to make sure that it's going to all get covered up. Okay, so you just keep going around and putting the first row in all right next to each other. And it doesn't really matter what order you put the little quills in. I think it's cute in any order, but if you want to kind of color coordinate and do the rainbow or whatever it is that you want to do, you can. And then you kind of take these other pieces and you slip them back behind and in between the first ones, and you can do 2 or 3 rows. It's just your own personal preference. You should have plenty of fabric to fill in all of this. And also, you know, if you have scraps at home from other projects, you can put those in as well. It just makes things pretty easy. So once you get all of this in all the way around, then you're going to take the iron. Let me get the iron. And you're just kind of fusing them all together. And then once it cools off, you'll be able to pull this off. So then you just lift this up, and do you see how all of them stayed on here? Then that way you can take this and put it to the side, get your fabric for your pillow. And so what I did with mine is I folded it in half, kind of crease the center, fold it again, and this piece is bigger than what you need, so you'll be cutting it down when you're finished. And then open this back up. And it really doesn't matter which way you have your fabric going. And you take this, and I'm going to line up in between his legs with this line here. And you lay it down on here and you press it down. Once you've pressed it all down, you have something like this. What I did for my applique on this is I did a blanket stitch or an E-stitch. Different machines have it labeled different ways, all the way around Elsie, and then I did, and so whenever you're doing this, if you have overlapping, you usually want to do whatever is the farthest away from you first. So you would do the heart, then you would come back and do the hands, okay? And then I did the cheeks, and I did the nose. Now I put in a heavier thread, cotton thread, like a 30 weight for the eyes, and I did a blanket stitch, just exactly what this is, but I lengthened it so that it looked more like eyelashes, and I just drew a line on here and followed that line. You could do it by hand if you wanted to, it's up to you. And then because there were so many quills, I was like, I don't know what to do with all of this, and so their suggestion in the pattern is to just do a straight stitch around them. And so you can kind of see, I think you can see all that. I just straight stitched around all the different little quills, so it leaves raw edges, but because you have that fusee bond on the back of it, it's not really going to ravel very much at all. So that's how you do the applique. I think it turned out really cute. Next, you trim your pillow down. The pattern calls for an 18-inch. I wanted mine a little bit smaller, so I cut mine down to a smaller size. And then the back is 2 pieces, and they tell you in the pattern, you know, what size to cut them. And I turned a double 1-inch hem on each end, and you overlap them. Let me put this in right inside out so you can see. So the back is going to overlap, it looks like about 4 inches or so. So you line up all the raw edges, right sides together, and you sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance around. Now here's a little tip for you. I angle in on my corners, so when I'm coming in, instead of going 1/2 inch all the way, I kind of go and make it a little bit bigger there, and then I angle back out this way. And what that does is when you put your pillow form in your pillow case, it keeps you from getting, I call them dog ears, where the points stick, you know, way out. This gives you a better point, a softer point on your pillow. So once you're finished with that, you trim your corners, turn your pillowcase right side out, press it, and stuff it. If you have a point turner, it makes it really easy to put a point turner in there and get those points turned nice and neat. Trimming the points is really important because that way you get a nice crisp point on each corner. And our pillow is finished. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this project. We want you to, if you enjoyed all this, we'd love for you to like us on our social media pages and follow us on YouTube.